Hello and welcome to my Woolly PhD. My name is Liz Scarf and this is a weekly vlog about what I'm currently learning and making in my anthropology PhD, all about wool. So on Saturday night I realised, it's Monday today, I realised I'd forgotten about the video for the week completely. I didn't have it in my diary but I do now. So here it is, a few days late. So this past week I have been learning and thinking a lot about field notes. Now usually my videos are about concepts, but this week, and really for many weeks to come, I'm really thinking and learning a lot about a core anthropology skill, which is taking field notes, right? Now if you've ever read an ethnography or another kind of anthropological text, you're reading the polished and theorized version of anthropological writing. You very, very rarely get to read field notes, because they're considered highly private, confidential, very personal, and anthropologists rarely publish them. They're also scrappy, and sometimes they're just bullet points, and like, I did this, I did that, I did that. So there's not a huge value to share them publicly. Sometimes other anthropologists would love to see each other's field notes to check, like benchmark. I certainly would. But you very rarely get to read them, right? Now in the genre of anthropological field notes, maybe there's like two main kinds, right? There's scratch notes. So they're little notes that you take on the go. And this is my little scratch note pad. I found this at the University of Iceland's bookstore. And it's right in the rain. I think it's actually mostly for geologists and people doing a lot of outdoors work, but you write on it in pencil and it's all waterproof. Anyway, so I would take little scratch notes are basically things you write on the go. So I'd have these in the pocket of my pants. I also took scratch notes in my phone. So that's one part of the field note process, is these little scratch notes. And then the main thing, right, is your proper field notes that you write up maybe at the end of each day. Some people might do them at the beginning of the next day. And they're a more sort of full description of the day's events, where you went, who you went with, who said what happened, describing sensory environments. And then you might also put in there questions that emerge or ways in which you might connect this to different theories. You may write those things, you may not. And this is my field note books. So they went in books like this. And in anthropology, there is a bit written about how to write this more polished ethnographies, but there's less so about how to make really good field notes. And there's different schools of thought, right? One that says, oh, you can learn it, and other people, oh, you're born with it or you're not, which I think is ridiculous. Of course, you can certainly get better at writing field notes, right? And why does it matter so much? So field notes are our core data, right? We might also take photos, videos, audio recordings, we'll draw maps, we might make pictures like watercolors or sketches, we might get others to create things as well. We might collect ephemera, so bits and pieces of, like brochures and things like this. But all of these are generally secondary to our field notes as forms of data. And if you don't have good field notes, you don't have good data, therefore you can't do good analytical work and you can't write good ethnographies. Or you can't make a contribution to the sort of ongoing discussion that is anthropology, right? Now, in anthropological research, your work can either be theory-driven or data-driven, let's say broadly, right? So theory-driven means you pick a theoretical concept or framework and then you go into a population or a community and you collect data to fit that theory so that you can explain it in a new way or expand on it perhaps. But data-driven means that you go out without a sort of determined theory. It doesn't mean you don't know anything about theories, of course you do, but you're not predetermining which one you're going to this community with. You just go and you collect all the data that you can, and then later you work out what theories you want to use to analyse this data. Now, the school I study with is renowned for its data-driven approach. So the idea is my field notes should be so utterly fantastic that I can later analyse them using any theoretical approach I like. Do I think they are that utterly fantastic yet? I don't actually. I think they're okay. And I think being a psychotherapist It's been a hugely transferable skill set because I'm used to really paying a lot of detailed attention to people, what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're not doing, what they're not saying. So I think they're okay, but I am just going to spend the next few months really honing the skill, especially within the anthropological kind of framework. It's different to psychotherapy, right? Well, so some similarities, but I really want to hone this skill because I really want to feel like my notes for my next 2 trips are actually really fabulous, because there's something, field work and this kind of research, there's so many things that are uncertain, which is kind of unsettling. So I feel like I just really feel really good to just go, it's all right, my field notes are good. I've got lots in there. So that would just, I think, be really comforting, aside from the fact that it's important for the rigor of the work, right? I don't want to waste my time and other people's time doing kind of like crappy research. So anyway, this week I've been reading 2 particular books. There'll be more to come. Don't worry, I'm not going to spend the next 2 months just doing videos about field notes. But yeah, it's what I'm looking at a lot. One of them is Writing Ethnographic Field Notes by Emerson, Fretz and Shaw. This is really cool because it kind of goes right from the beginning of field notes right through to the sort of polished ethnographic writing. So I'm getting a lot out of this. And then the other one is Encountering Craft, Methodological Approaches from Anthropology, Art History and Design, edited by Bose and Mosini. Particularly the chapter by Anna Kant on the challenges of writing about making practices, because that's particularly a challenge I've noticed, is if someone's just kind of like making something and there's not a lot of social interaction happening, well, what do I write about, right? So she really articulates this challenge about how to write about the body in a making practice as one part of the challenge. Now, I think this is a relatively easy and practical skill to develop, because as a somatic psychotherapist, I had to study a lot and learn a lot about how to observe and describe the moving body. And there are also several formal systems for this, so it's quite learnable. The other thing that she identifies, I think it's also learnable in some ways, but it's much more subjective. But I think, and it's quite tricky because I think it's not such a practical skill like learning to write about movement. It's a theoretical and philosophical lens, let's say. Now, she writes about how focusing on making practices in our research, that is sort of how materials and bodies relate in processes of transformation, it's a bit beyond traditional notions of the social, right? So it's really different to writing about 2 people having an exchange, right? People having an exchange, you can understand history, context, relationships, social conditions, etc. relatively easy in overt social interactions. But to understand a making practice as social, so someone who's just sitting there making a thing, now that's actually quite a cognitive challenge. It's exactly what I think post-human thought is trying to develop, right? Is how would we understand that as social? And this concept of the social, right, has to be interrogated here, but not like here in this video. That's a huge topic for another week. It's really complex and something I don't really feel like I understand enough yet. I mean, all my videos are half-baked, right? My conceptual understandings of lots of things are, in progress because that's what I'm learning. But the notion of the social is not ready to do a video on that yet. So that's what I'm thinking about and learning about a lot this week, is really how to improve and think more deeply about field notes. And the other thing that I'm actually doing is I'm indexing my field notes so far. And I think I was up to page 8, my field notes, and I already had like 220 different index entries. And now I'm up to, I don't know where I'm up to now, but it's growing. So it's a really big spreadsheet. And it's a really interesting process. I think I'm going to have to think more about that before I say more about it. But actually I'll leave that there. but that's another thing I'm doing at the moment. I'll be doing this over the next few months, is indexing my field notes to see what particular themes are there. Like, what am I writing about? What am I not writing about? So that'll be really interesting. What questions arise, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm thinking about this week. It's lots about field notes. What am I making? Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know why I'm saying, oh my goodness. I don't think it's that dramatic. Oh, no, before I get there, before I forget what I forgot last week, which is introducing you to Pamela. Oh my God. This is so spectacular. So, there is, in Iceland, if you go to Iceland and you go to tourist stores in Reykjavik, do not buy a pelt there. They're not very nice. They're all brushed out. You do not get any of these beautiful curly locks. Now, some Icelandic sheep farmers have been breeding for what they call, well, I can't remember the Icelandic name, but it's for pelt sheep, basically, to get these beautiful locks and to have more of the long hair and less of the kind of shorter sort of insulating layer here, to make really, really beautiful pelts. And you won't get really, really beautiful pelts like this in the souvenir stores. You have to go into the countryside. Now, my recommendation, I'm not going to tell you where to go exactly, because I don't think some of these people want just like anybody rocking up at any time, because they're not there at any time. But what I would recommend is, because this is how I found out about where to get really good places, is go to the Uppspunni mini mill during their opening times. Buy some of their wool because it's beautiful, but you can also ask them, where do I get the really, really good pelts? And they might be able to give you, well, they can give you some recommendations about who to try, and they can give you phone numbers to call to kind of make a time. And you can go get yourself something stunning like this. It's an investment piece, but it's so beautiful. But I must admit, once I got it home, I was like, I love it so much, I don't want to ever wreck it or like have it changed by use. And so even finding it, like working out what to do with it, and because I don't ever want it to get like scruffy. It's going to get scruffy. They always get a bit scruffy. You can make them nicer, but over the years they do change. But that's partly what it means to have kind of like living objects in the house. Anyway, if you happen to be in Iceland, that's my hot tip about how to get a really good pelt. You will not find them in the souvenir stores. You will find lots of pelts there. They're okay. They're not amazing like Pamela. Okay, right, what have I been making? Showed you this last week. There's no progress on this whatsoever. It's the Cloudy Skies scarf by Sweater Babe. That's no comment on the pattern. Pattern's fine, but I'm still procrastinating about starting the lace work. I have print the lace chart on my to-do list, so I'm going to count that as progress. What I have been working on is, well, I'm well into this Rota cardigan by Anna Sjosvad, but it doesn't look like much, but actually it kind of, the neck is here, the arm is down to here now. I ran out of the mohair, so this is on pause until that arrives because my local yarn store had run out, so I had to order it online. But it's around about time when I should split for the arms and the body, but I actually did a fit check last night and I think it still needs another centimetre. So I'm going to need another centimetre when the wool arrives, and then do another fit check and just check that I'm happy with where to sort of split for the arms. Now, I did also start swatching for a cable knit cardigan. This is supposed to be a moss stitch. Don't look close at it. Oh my goodness. This one's it smells so good. This, and I wish there was a way to really show squish. Oh, there's not, it's so dense. Must be a woolen spun. It's so plump. Do I do this every video? Do I like squeezing. I probably do. Anyway, this is Alba, and this is something I need my glasses for. This is a DK from Uist Wool. A Uist Wool mill is in the Outer Hebrides on North Uist Island. I've been there a couple of years ago, well, a few years ago now. So worth the visit if you're going to Scotland or going to the Outer Hebrides or you love wool. It's a great mill and they make beautiful wool. Anyway, this is this thing they do every couple of years, I think, where it's Elaine, Soe and Manx Lochdan. So this is like a rare breed thing. I've been to see the Soe sheep out on the island of Herta in the St Kilda archipelago, which is off the Outer Hebrides. I don't know that you can get much more remote, to be honest. Gorgeous little sheep. Anyway, it's so... How gorgeous is that? All these little different flecks of colour and stuff. And there's little bits of grass in it in some places. And it still smells really sheepy, and you can sort of still feel there's a bit of lanolin in it. It's really nice. So they haven't really over-scoured it. So, and it's really plump. So I thought cables would be really good for that. But yeah, that's what happened. So I started swatching for this cable knit pattern. But then as I was looking at the pattern more and more, there's this big, I'm not going to say which one it is. There's a big kind of cable pattern design down here that I actually don't like it. Like, I like some cables, some other cable patterns I don't like. And I just thought, I'm not going to knit this whole sweat. I thought, sometimes I think I don't like a thing, but once I've made it, I really like it. So I should just take the risk. And then I thought, this is really precious. It's going to take forever to make. Maybe I should just pick something I really, really love the look of even before I've made it. So I went with that, and I'm picking out a different pattern, so I'm going to restart that. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. And I think, I don't know, knitting's a lot, or making things is a lot like, is quite complex as a process, right? And I think seeing the twists and turns of how we get somewhere is important. So that's a twisting and turning. And then because then I didn't have anything to knit that was like an easy knit in bed project last night, I started some socks, just some vanilla socks, I guess for myself probably. I'm certainly doing the size for myself. And it's this beautiful, I'm going to do stripes, thick stripes with this beautiful teal and blue. So quite subtle, but that's what I'm after. And this is the John Arbon Textiles. It's a UK brand. Exmoor sock that I got at my local yarn store, Sunspun. And what are these colours? I don't know if they give colour names or... Oh, yep. Dimity and Plashes. There we go. That's what I'm making at the moment. Why aren't I making a Lopa Pacer? Good question. I am still picking out a pattern. I want to make a Lopa cardigan, but I think I may be making it towards the end of this home visit, so I may still be making it when I'm in Iceland. I think what's going to be really funny is if some of the Icelandic wool I brought home for knitting, I end up taking back with me to knit something while I'm there. It's funny because, well, you would be laughing too if you had seen the amount of luggage I had to drag around after my... Anyway, it's funny. Let's just take my word for it. We don't need to go into how ridiculous my travel logistics were because of all the wool. It was pretty fun though. Okay, so that's what I've been making. I am also... If you follow along on Instagram, that's Liz Making With. I don't think I spoke about this last week. You would have seen the little weird thing I had happen with my finger. So it was okay if it was down here, but as I lifted it up, it would just start doing this kind of uncontrollable shaking. It was pretty weird, and it was a little bit scary until I researched it, and I really think it was just a strain. And once I massaged my wrists and stuff, it was fine. So I have been taking it a little bit easy this week with knitting, but why I'm mentioning it is because it's also helping me get a little bit of a scoot on with some sewing projects, because I thought, well, I do like to sew more in summer because knitting in summer is less fun and less possible here in Melbourne. So I have been working on a lot of sewing projects, so getting organised with patterns, getting organised with fabric, getting the fabric wash. So yeah, I don't know if I'll share them here because they're not part of the PhD, they're not knitting related, but who knows. Anyway, that's what's been going on. It's another thing I think is really interesting actually is injury. Yeah, I have to think on that one more. Maybe that's a whole video topic. Okay, I'm just rambling now. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to any thoughts you have about any and all of these topics. Yeah, see you next week.